Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of I Almost Know What I'm Doing. If it looks like I'm having a small 2.0 earthquake, that's because of the brand new printer that I'm working with, the Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon. It is a beautiful printer and produces absolutely immaculate prints, and I am not affiliated with them in any way. They didn't pay me to say that. I'm just saying it because I love the printer. But if you're going to get one and run it on ludicrous mode, I suggest that you buy a 600-pound chopping block and lag bolt it to the floor. Um, Even then, it may move your house a little bit. I'll tell you one thing: when I think it's going, I'm surprised that printer head just doesn't fly right out of the side of the thing. But I mean, it prints really good stuff. I mean, the quality of some of these prints. I've messed them up by getting stuff all over them. But I mean, this is the black carbon, regular PLA carbon fiber, and then you've got some, you know, drone power concepts. Just some mixed filament versions, just for the heck of it, just trying stuff out. But today I wanted to talk about not only some drone parts, because I've got some upgrades that I need to discuss, because I went into this not knowing anything about iNav and different types of flight controllers and things like that. I've flown drones before. I've built RC planes. That was all S-bus, like serial bus controlled stuff. And I also wanted to talk about the giveaway. So we'll touch bases on that, because that's a concern for me, because I'm having a hard time tallying the subscribers, and because some of them, I guess, have a hidden like their subscriptions are hidden, so I can't see everybody who's subscribed, and I can't get everybody's name in there so that I can do this drawing. So we're gonna have to talk about that and null it out. But I wanted to talk about some of the stuff that I had gone through. Well, we'd seen, if you had seen any of my previous videos, you can go through the shorts on the Shrike drone concept drone playlist. There's videos and shorts in there that kind of show. Well, there's videos in there. I think shorts can go in there. Yeah, I think I got shorts in there. Don't look at my shorts. It's the only time you're ever going to hear me say that on the internet. So you'll see kind of where I started, where it's all S-bus, and it's going through, S-bus protocol, iBus, how you set it up as a simple, analog setup as far as it goes. And everyone's like, you got to go with ELRS. Once you do ELRS, you'll never go back. And I didn't have, I guess, smart ESCs. I had standard, so I was using standard ESC protocols. I think, you want to try D-Shot and all that other stuff, because you got to remember, I'm running 70 millimeter EDF motors for my drone's motors. It's not just regular motors with regular propellers. This is all for a purpose. And with some of the new equipment that I have, I think I will be able to collect the data that I need and get a lot of the black box logging information off the SpeedyBee F405 Wing APP, I believe it's called. I got most of my stuff at getfpv.com. Again, they're not affiliated with me. I'm just giving them a shout out because their customer support's great. Their reps know what they're talking about. When a noob comes in like me on the FPV and flight controller thing, they know how to hook you up. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was, a lot of people this was getting bad press, and like there's people who love it and they don't. And it's the Commando 8. And this is the ELRS version 2.4 gigahertz. So that, I believe, is going to increase my usability in a sense, as far as getting telemetry and data back. That's a great little controller from what I've heard. I also went with a now, the one question I had, maybe somebody who knows about this FPV stuff can help me with, is I had bought 2 receivers. I got one ELRS in 2.4, and it's please focus. Okay, you know what it is. It's a hobby model. Okay, 2.4. Pre-installed ELRS version 3.0.1. So that's what we got on that end. I wasn't sure if it was backwards compatible, the transmitter, with another ELRS that I picked up as far as the receiver goes. Can you? It's like overexposed and everything. This is a 915. I wasn't sure if it's backwards compatible with the 915. I figured that if I had a 915 radio, I couldn't get a 2.4 gig receiver. But on the other side of that, I'm wondering if you're able to take a 2.4 and run a 915 if you have to. I wish the printer would finish because it looks like I'm having an earthquake. It really does. I love the bamboo lens printer, but it's shaking. I have a heavy desk and it's shaking everything on that mode. Luckily, it's got 4 minutes left on this print, so we're good. Another thing that I picked up was I needed the D-Shot receiver or the D-Shot ESCs because it's something I absolutely had to have because I wanted everything to be able to talk to the flight controller, get telemetry back, everything else. Shall I wait out this earthquake? Do, 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 do. That thing has got some torque when it's moving around. It looks like it's almost done though. Where was I? Okay, ESCs. So I found these ESCs also. I think it was Get FPV. Yeah, it was. And they are the iFlight E80. And they are 80 amp with 100 amp burst. And the motors I'm pushing aren't going to pull that much. The power distribution board that I have for it is an ADP 500 amp constant current board. So because the EDFs that I'm running, I think will pull at 6S, I think they'll pull 2100 kV, about 66 amps max current roughly, times 4. So I wanted to make sure that the ESC could handle it. I'd have just this huge table above it if I wanted to go with it, because those ESCs will handle a 2 to 8S pack. So that's why I got them. And they are, I'm just still freaking out about how small they are. I mean, is that normal? Is it normal for them to be that small? Focus, you stupid. Okay, next investment's going to be camera. See, there we go. It's a pretty looking thing. It's surrounded in aluminum. So, oh, and I love the fact that it has a plug on the front right here, and it comes with the wires that you need to wire it into the power distribution board. But my power distribution board obviously has solder points, but it does have a plug for that signal wire, the ground wire, and the telemetry or the data or whatever else is, telemetry. And then I also opted in to get a GPS module because I thought, well, I don't have goggles to see how many satellites I have, so I don't know. Can I use the GPS module without goggles? When will I know if it has enough satellites to arm it? At that point, because I have some goggles, but they're for DJI stuff. So it's like, how does that work? I've got to figure that out. So I got to go through right now and get all that figured out. But this is another little iFlight GPS module. This is the M10 is what they were talking about. And then it was a very good, very reliable little GPS unit. So I'm excited to give that a try and get some of that GPS hold action going. The only daunting part about it for me, as far as figuring out what goes where, is I've got plugs on this end, but and I think, but the cool part about it is they give you these little pins, and as you can see, I'm wearing bifocals, so you can imagine how much fun it's going to be to try and figure out which pin goes into which port. I think the Speedy though comes with its own cables because I got another F405 wing so that we could, I had one on the other drone, but I didn't want to reuse it because I sliced that drone in half with a fence. So I kind of wanted to give this new build a fighting chance. So basically I got another one of these to kind of round off the build. One of the main questions I have about this is, since it seems to be there's a lot of DJI VTXs out there that people are using with DJI goggles. So the question I had is, I had an older pair that I use with my Mavic, and the big old honking goggles. I mean, it's like, anyone remember these? Can you get a VTX from DJI or any aftermarket VTX that'll work with DJI and use these goggles? I mean, will it work? It works as far as with the Mavic. So I figured if you're able to run DJI cams and DJI VTXs, could you pair them with those goggles? That would be something I'd want to figure out. Same thing with the controller. I got the Commando here, but I got the Smart controller here as well. So the question is, can I use this on an ELRS setup? Or is there a DJI specific receiver for this that I can get and put it in, and bind this to it and set up a profile on this? Or is this specific to the DJI equipment? Because I had seen where people were using DJI VTX, and I've seen options on there when I was shopping around to send them to the different types of goggles. Like they had those DJI FPV goggles, ones with the 4 antennas. I forget what that one's called, but the I'm wondering if it's compatible with that. I assume it's compatible with those. If it is, then it would have to be at some point compatible with those. So listen to that, the printer stopped. Whew. Earthquake's over. All right. So there has to be some kind of compatibility there. There has to be I shouldn't have to go out and get another set of goggles if I'm going to use a DJI VTX transmitter from the drone and whatever camera I'm using. So if anyone's got that kind of info, shoot it my way, because that would be helpful. We'll kind of wait for a little bit to see if anybody else strolls in. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Oh, another thing that I wanted, this ESC I was telling you about comes with this big old 1,000 microfarad capacitor, which is kind of cool. I bought actually a box of these because I had experimented before with an F405, a standard SpeedyBee F405, not the wing, just the drone one. And because it didn't have, I was using 64 millimeter EDFs because I was trying to top out what I could use as far as the EDFs, but not overpower the ESC. And the problem was, even though I had, that thing could handle like 50 times 4, and I think the currents on those, was it 50 or 64 millimeter EDFs was under that. It was like 35, 40 or somewhere around there. It didn't matter because it was the current draw total between the 4 that was overheating the input from the battery, and the first thing that would go would be the legs on that cap. So I knew the current was way too much. So I kind of went up to 6S because it gave me and a larger, from a 64 to a 70, and then from a 4S to a 6S, because it would drop the kV. It'd be less current, and I would be able to My board would have handled up to 500, but a lot of the wiring wouldn't. I'm going to be running 8 gauge pure copper on the power lead from the battery to the power distribution board. And then I'm going to run the wires that came with, actually, the wires came with the iFlight ESCs are right here. And that's that plug I was telling you about for the telemetry, and the signal wire, the ground, and the telemetry wire, the yellow one here. So, because I'll have to solder it to my board, I'll probably cut those off or make a plug. I don't know if I have I may have a kit that has these laying around, and then I could just pin it, pin that wire here, make it a plug, and then put a female end off the PDB board, kind of make things easier. Kind of, because I kind of had to get underneath the bridge on the drone to get to the power distribution board, and if I could just kind of plug them in, that'd be kind of cool. I thought about doing the same thing with the power from the ESC, is putting them on a 16 XT60 connector, and then running an XT60 off of that to the ESC, just so if I have to swap stuff out because I want to try a different ESC, I can do that. So I want to try and make this one as modular as possible. So it's going to have XT60s. It's going to have, I forget what those header pin plugs are called. But I think we're going to go that route just because it makes it a little easier. Same thing with the motor control outputs from the power distribution board to the SpeeDB signal board, because I only have one wire I need that comes out of there. It's just the signal wire from the motor on the SpeeDB down to the motor input on the power distribution. And then there's a telemetry output. Plus, there is a 12-volt out on that power distribution that I hook up to the power distribution board of the SpeeDB. On the backside, you'll see, if I can get it to focus for you so you can read it. You've probably already seen it before. It says BAT and ESC. So I just go battery straight, 12 volts from the power distribution board off the ADP. And then that powers the board, and it'll let me know how much battery there is. The battery indicator will still get the information it needs. So that's good to know. So that's how I got around that whole problem with this stack. I wanted the SpeeDB stack because it was really comprehensive. It had a lot of the cool stuff you want on it. There's plugs for a lot of the modules you would use rather than just pads. Even though the pads are there, you can use, you can reassign things, and it's just very versatile, the SpeeDB. And again, this is all purchased by me. They're not affiliated with me. Wish they would be, but that's why I stuck with this stack, because it was very versatile, and I like the black box logging. So excited to get into that, and it'll be nice to know when I'm flying this time when my battery voltage is low, because when I was running the other drone on serial or S-Bus, then you don't get a voltage back from that. If you could set up telemetry for it, but you have to have the receiver that's set up for telemetry to send back. And it was just too difficult to get it set up. It might be simple, but I just haven't figured it out yet. So so I went ahead and I went with ELRS, because everyone's like, you got to go with ELRS because that's the best way to go. And I don't know why, but I guess I'm going to find out. I know I'm going to get a decent amount of range out of this, so I can't wait to start using this. This is a beautiful. I love the buttons. It does have push in buttons. They're not momentaries, and then these are 3 position switches on each side. So you got plenty of channels to work with if you're doing what I'm doing, which is just sort of experimental kind of stuff. Even as an FPV freestyler, if I ever get into that after I'm done here, I'm not sure why you would need so many buttons. Because people are getting 10, 12 channel 16 channel transmitters. Why? I mean, at best, you're working with modes, angle modes, horizon mode. It's a couple of switches. Fail safe should be automatic. It shouldn't be on a switch. So it should be something you can program in manually, I believe. The fail safe, like gets below a voltage, and if it's got GPS, it'll go back to where it took off. Right? Am I wrong? Just like the DJI drone? I mean, that's what we're doing here, right? Because I'm kind of mixing FPV drones with the UAP. I want to be able to fly freestyle. And then I want to be able to go into a waypoint mode where I can just kind of go and, UAV the thing. FPV to UAV. Why not, right? Or if that makes sense. It sounds crazy, I know. But it's just the way I think it needs to be done. I for me, that's what the experiment is for. And this obviously is not going to be the last iteration. The last few shorts that you see of the printed drone off the Bamboo Labs is going to be. This is going to be sort of the finalized test platform for the EDF system. See, because the mistakes I made before was I had 4S at first. Heat was too much. Had to drop the KV, get a bigger motor. Which meant a bigger battery, but that's totally fine. The videos that you'll see in that playlist, the Shrike drone, concept drone, is the 6,000 milliamp. At first, I had a 5,500 milliamp 22 volt, and it was only, I think, a 50C. And then I went to 100C, 6,000 milliamp, 22.2 volt, and it lifts it no problem. And it'll lift another 4 pounds on top of that, fairly easily. So if you go by the current draw, it's a couple of minutes of runtime. If you're at full throttle, I'm never at full throttle because of the size fan I'm using. So usually 5 to 6 minutes. And on a system where it's going to be more efficient, I'm going to have less power loss. The reason why I went with that 100C battery is because it's a graphene battery. So it kind of helped with the spiking that I was getting on the 5,500 milliamp 50C. It just didn't have the C rating to handle it. And the wiring being too thin, you lose a lot of efficiency through the heat. So we're making sure we're going with the right gauge wires. We're making sure we're going with the right connectors. Making sure everything's stable. The print is much lighter than the original print because I had printed the other one to be a tank, which is why when it did crash, I only lost the motors on the starboard side. It just kind of sliced off. But so this one's going to be a lot lighter. First off, I can tell already because this is literally half the weight of the original one that was printed on the Ender, and this is off of the Carbon X1 Carbon from Bamboo Labs, and I integrated the wind scoop in here, and the motor should basically see. I take the tabs off the side, because you can always just order the plastic. Who cares? Or I'll just print out another hull for it. But I trim with the injection molded ones on the motors. That alignment pins, I kind of cut those off, and then it'll slide straight into here. And because these are ridged, I doubt you'll see it on this video. On the top, you might be able to see that, but on this ridge right here, it'll slide up to that ridge, and it'll clip into place because I got the dimensions right. And it's off of a specific motor, but every casing is different on EDFs. But on this specific one, these are the dimensions for it. And then what I do is the unthinkable. I CA glue the bottom into place so that it doesn't spin. And since we're pushing air down, it sits up against this lip and won't move. I still put a little bit of CA around there just to make sure that it's tight. I may put some there before I slide the motor in because this is a different print. I'm also dealing with carbon fiber, so I don't know how it's going to act with the CA glue. It may do better, it may do worse. This one and the other two, these are the two front nacelles. So these are PLA. This is a matte at the bottom, which will be good to test the CA glue's efficiency on the bottom side. And then this is a steel. It's a green oxide metal. So the two different finishes and the way that the CA glue acts with them and how efficient they are. That's what I'm going for. If you look at my face, man, my hair's all out of whack. I feel like it's like they pulled me out of a box and then set me up and said, "Talk." All right. So that's where we're at this point. I'm waiting for the new motors to get here. It's the only thing that hasn't arrived yet. The drone is printed, so it's ready to be assembled. It's going to be much cleaner looking because I'm not going to have ESC strapped on the, outside with zip ties, and there's not going to be hot glue everywhere. At least, hopefully, not at first. So, yeah, the prints did turn out really well. Did you just text that? I didn't know if I saw my stuff is so small here. There you go. Yes, the prints turned out great. For me, at this point, it's going to be a lot of building, a lot of programming, a lot of testing. Because this is like these are capable of D shot. I don't know which D shot. There's like 3 of them. So I'm gonna try and find the info on it and see which one I should start with. But when you're dealing with EDFs, everything's different. You need faster correction times. You need to be able to regulate the power better because you are dealing with something that's putting out 52,000 RPMs, not just whatever the idle speed or the, or the max speed of some of those tiny whoops I've seen. Some of those ones that they like lean forward and they take off really, really fast. And I keep thinking to myself, that would be it for my drone. That'd be the end of the video. I go, okay, tilt it forward, take off. Okay, bring it back. Like, what do you mean bring it back? I can't see the damn thing. It's gone. That's all there is to it. You handed me a drone that does 200 miles an hour and said, bring it back. That's not going to happen. Not on purpose, but it's not going to happen. Okay. I'm not that good of a pilot yet. An old school pilot. Old school RC planes. I had a jet. I was good with the F-22, but the Su-24 was not an easy plane to fly. But the F-22 Raptor, I was really good at. And the F-35. But other than that, it was more Cessnas and prop planes. And oh man, I miss my Super Sky Surfer. They don't sell it anymore. I don't know who sells the Super Sky Surfer anymore. It's like, come on, Banana Hobby. Like, get us hooked on something and then discontinue it. Assholes. Yeah, Banana Hobby. I'm mad at you. I want my Super Sky Surfer. You hear me? Anyway, I want to get another one because I forget what happened to the last one. But can you imagine taking something the size of the Super Sky Surfer and UAVing that thing? Like just long range FPV? It's a glider. You can have to catch the thermals. You're still powered when you need to be, but you catch the thermals and you could be up there for days just on one battery. That would just be so much fun, So there's going to be a lot of experiments that we're going to be doing. I also got I'll throw out a hint for the next project dealing with 270 millimeter EDFs, completely 3D printed, and it goes Bert. Anyone who was in the Army is going to know exactly what I'm talking about. That's going to be the next build. not a drone, but it's still going to be a fun build. So, and I'll do some other stuff too. I've got, I actually have a P-47 Thunderbolt I've been wanting to print so that I can run that one. Because I used to do balsa wood models. And those were fun. Those were fun. It took me forever to build them. And then I flew one several times, and it was gas powered. And it was just nuts. But man, talk about your heart pounding before you take off. You're like, I'm going to crash this damn thing. And there's a few times I did. But not. There was one particular one called the Raven. I didn't crash at all. The P-47 CG was off. Not my fault. Okay, it was my fault. But you learn that way, right? It's expensive to learn that way, but you learn. It's also expensive to learn this way, but you learn. Actually, this wasn't that bad. I think it was like 139 or 130, somewhere around there. Everything I get from Get FPV, and just because they're really good with their customer service. And again, they're not paying me to say that. And while we're on the subject of quality, I have to ask you a question. Do you guys remember Hostess Ho-Hos? You guys remember these? All right. Remember when they used to come in the big pack before all the weird stuff started happening? They used to come in a big pack. They were twice the size of this, and there was two of them. They had to put a freaking piece of, waxed paper board underneath the bottom of them because they were so heavy. But now look, what are we downsizing for? Come on, man. I want my freaking ho-hos. Do that to my ho-hos. You touch my Twinkies, Hostess, and it's on. You understand me? Don't touch my mother Twinkies. Do you understand? Leave the Twinkie alone. If anything, make it bigger. Okay? Like, leave us something. The cupcakes, I went from that high to that high. Okay? The Hostess cupcakes. Sons of. I'm telling you. Nothing but money hungry mother sons of. I'm telling you. I'm just don't touch my Twinkies. All right. Sorry. Had a moment there. Love my Twinkies. But I don't eat them all the time because you couldn't be. Sorry, my hips and my shoulders. Oh, I'm old. Can't eat them all the time because then my sugar will go up. And then I'm just kidding. I don't have problems with my sugar. Except there's not enough of it. Where am I? The Alzheimer's is setting in. I know that the freestyle FPV thing is for. There's not a lot of people my age doing it because we're all still doing the old school, actual flying planes. And I don't know why, because it seems like FPV would be fun as long as you don't get motion sick. So I'm going to be honest with you, I need to start out with something. If I build one, that's outside the spectrum of what I'm doing here. If I build one, I've already got the radio for it. So if I build one, what should I start with? Like, what's the easiest thing to start with? Stacy's laughing. What's the easiest thing to start with? Because I personally don't know because I'm going to crash it. There's people going there running up, doing flips, like going all the way back upside down and then through little tiny narrow passageways. How do you do that? How many takes does it take? How many sets of props do you go through doing one shoot? I'm just curious. Shut up, cat. I love you, but shut up. All right. Cat is just. Really? Right now? No, I'm not giving you any love right now. Nope. Nope, sorry. No. Anyway. So, yeah, there we are. We have all this cool new gear to play with. The drone is printed beautifully. It's going to be an interesting project. I will videotape the assembly. Videotape. I'm so old. I'm going to send you all a VCR and a video cassette of what I'm doing. Okay. Like half the people go VCR. Wow. Okay. Well, it looks like we're at the end of there because somebody's apparently stopping by my house. Our friend Brad. Good guy. Hold on one second. So we're going to have to end it here pretty quick. But what I wanted to talk about in the giveaway is I need to figure out exactly how to get all the subs that have been following me because of what I'm doing involved in the giveaway. So I'm hoping you all get a chance this week to watch this live. If you're not here, that's fine. But I hope you get a chance to watch this live because I want you to be in on the giveaway. And with most people having their subs private, I believe is the setting. I can only see so many of the people that are subbed to me. So I need to figure out a way to do this giveaway where it's fair, where everybody's involved. I don't want to just go, okay, these are the only ones I can see, and then throw their name in a hat. So I apologize for the delay on the giveaway. There is going to still be one because we have hit that 100 subscriber mark, that 8 million subscriber mark. Anyway, point is, we're there. So I want to do the giveaway, but I've got to figure out how to get everybody who is subbed to me. I got to get their name in the hat and then like do the drawing and then DM. I'm going to do it live and then DM them. And then we'll decide whether or not it's up to them whether they want to be known that they've won. So, or if they want to keep it private. So that's what I would like to do. And I want to thank you all for joining me here today. And hopefully it was mildly entertaining. It was kind of fun to do. Especially with the Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon earthquake happening near the beginning. But yeah, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel, watch the videos. You'll see where I'm at, what I'm doing now, and we will go from there. So again, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. See you all soon.